Hello, everyone. This is Minister William, or Reverend Will if you wish, and this is the sermon for March 12th, 2023. And as always, we'll start with a moment of silence for prayer, meditation, or what have you. All right, thank you. This week's sermon will be The Emperor and the Beggar, and it can be found on alltimeshortstories.com. In the dusty streets of a large city lived a beggar procuring alms and rice daily from passerby. Most of the days he was unable to gain enough food for a meal and enough copper to buy some firewood to cook and keep him warm. At night he slept under the sky with only a rag to cover him. His life was difficult, but he had grown used to it over the many years. One day the beggar heard the news that the emperor was to visit the, coming to town for a rare visit. I am sure the generous emperor will see the state I am in and grant a generous gift. The richest man, the richest of all men, will bestow some sympathy and relief on me in a manner that would undoubtedly surpass the paltry givings of regular citizens, he thought. He then made plans to seat himself along the route the emperor will be traveling, so that the emperor do not would not miss or to uh, uh, so the emperor wouldn't miss to notice the beggar's misery. He gathered all his belongings and set his spot on the street the night before the procession. The royal caravan finally approached and stopped right in front of him around midday. While the beggar had expected no more than a little gift to support his life on the streets from the emperor's servants, he was speechless when the caravan halted beside him and the great ruler himself emerged in front of him. The emperor approached the beggar, shook the poor man's hand, touched him gently on the shoulder, and looked into his eyes. He said, "Tell me, kind sir, may I have a little gift of rice?" For a moment the beggar didn't understand what the emperor had just said. The emperor motioned to his bowl with some rice, urging him on. "Can you please spare some grains of rice?" the powerful man insisted. The beggar could barely believe what he was at. The beggar could barely believe what was happening to him. He was expecting the great emperor to ask him anything. He had only a handful of grains to his name, but he was being beseeched by he who had everything. The beggar slowly took the bowl into his hands and started stared at the little rice he had. He knew he could not deny the emperor's request by any means. He was barely able to hide his indignation, but he reluctantly counted out 5 grains of rice and dropped them into the hands of the emperor. The emperor thanked him and shook his hand once more and went on his way. Confused, hurt, and angry, the beggar watched the caravan disappear into the dust and left him alone with nothing more than he had before. That night, while he was cleaning his rice for his dinner, he noticed something glinting in his bowl. He looked closer, and a thrill shot through him when he dug. Uh, When he dug, pulled out the tiny gold nugget out of his bowl. The gold nugget was enough for him to buy him a few months off the street. There must be more of it, he thought, and started to sift through the rice and search for more gold. He found 4 more pieces of gold nuggets inside his rice bowl. As he stared down at the small fortune in his bowl, it dawned on him. There were 5 gold nuggets, one for each grain of rice he had offered the emperor. Moral: only by giving you are able to receive more than you already have. I know I preach a lot about helping people and being good to people and all that stuff. But like stuff like this shows that, you know, like sometimes when you give others something, even though you don't have much yourself, you might find that you get a lot more back. Like this man thought the emperor was taking advantage of him by taking something from him when he didn't have much, but the emperor had money. But the emperor slyly gave him a gold nugget for every grain of rice that the beggar gave to him. It is kind of like he wanted to help this man out, but didn't want the man to feel he was getting something for nothing. Or something to that effect. Always, like I say, always do your best to help people out. Give what you can, and you get much more back in return. Always show kindness to others when you can. There, show kindness to those who deserve kindness. There are some people who might be bad on one day, but deep down they're really kind. And then you'll know a good person when you see one. But remember, everyone, when we all come together, the possibilities are endless. Do what you can for each other. Give, and you will get much more back in return. But always give with all the kindness in your heart. Until next time, I'll see you next week, everyone. Bye.